Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to do the Sublimation Stanley style tumblers. The first thing you need to know is that these are actually really fun and make perfect gifts or things to sell for honestly anybody. Mother's Day, birthdays, teacher appreciation. Everybody loves this style tumbler. And I'm obsessed with the floral designs that I've been creating for all the ones that I've been making. If you are new here, my name is Allison, and this channel is all about teaching you how to make fun things and having fun doing it. So if you like all things sublimation, glitter tumblers, and craft room organization, make sure you hit subscribe and let's get started. So the first thing I want to say is that these are specifically sublimation tumblers. You buy them ready to sublimate and they are in the similar shape of that famous Stanley style tumbler. So you need to make sure that you get one specific for sublimation. And then you also have basically two choices. I really like the designs where you're just doing the top half. I think that any design that sort of like fades to white is really cool. It doesn't have to be floral, although that's what I've been super obsessed with. I really like the look of just the top part having a design. The other option is to do top and bottom. The bottom is tapered. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to measure your design to get the top done, as well as how to create a warped image to fit nicely around the bottom. All the supplies that I use are linked underneath this video. And as always, if you have any comments or want to share your thoughts, please leave me a comment. I try to respond to as many as I can. So let's get started.
So let's talk about making your design. I'm going to walk you through this floral design that I've just really been loving. I search watercolor florals on Creative Fabrica. It's my favorite place to get things. You can search specific colors, different looks, but I ended up downloading this wildflower design, and I downloaded this where it's already kind of made in a border, and I'll show you both. So ultimately, if you are getting individual watercolor flowers, I ended up just putting them all together to create a design. All you need is really a design that is 6.5 inches tall and about 12.5 inches wide. I just make it the length of my 13 by 19 sheet. So you can see this one's already assembled. All I had to do was make it a little bit smaller to get it to be the right height. As you are sort of putting things together, you can choose the route that's the easiest for you. If you want to play around, do something super unique, you can create your own design like this using elements that you just downloaded or purchased. But remember, all you need to do is put them all together in a way that they fade so that they will kind of fade into the white towards the bottom. You just want them to be about the width of your 13 by 19 canvas.
So doing the top portion of the tumbler is really easy. You really just need a rectangle. It's when you get to the bottom that you have this tapered size. So you will need to actually use the conical warp feature in Silhouette Studio to create a template. This is repeatable and easy. I'm just going to show you exactly how to do it. There is some math involved, but lucky for you, I was a math teacher for 10 years. So I got you.
So to use the conical warp feature, you need three things: the diameter at the top, the diameter at the bottom, and the height. But it's hard to measure the diameter, so we're going to actually use the circumference to find it. And if you remember way back when you learned circumference equals 2 times the diameter, I'm going to make this super easy for you. That's honestly more than you need to know. Take your measuring tape and measure the height of the area. In this case, it is 3.25 inches. Then I'm going to take my tape measure and measure around the top, where I get about 10.25 inches, and the bottom to be about 9.35. And anytime you use this feature, those are the 3 numbers that you need. But those top and bottom numbers are actually the circumference. And remember, we need the diameter. So we're going to go to Google and we're going to type in circle calculator. And this is the one I like to use. I'll link it below because all you have to do is type in that circumference that you just got. So we just measured all the way around the top was 10.25. That means my diameter is 3.27. It's the 3.27 number that I need. So write that down. Then you're going to go into the bottom and you're going to get that 2.97. So those are the 3 numbers that you need to put into this conical warp feature. So you're going to go into the conical warp feature and type in that 2. that 2.97, that 3.25 for the diameter on the top, the diameter on the bottom, and then the height was 3.25 as well. There are pictures in Silhouette Studio that show you the measurements that they need, but it will warp that image so it fits nicely around the bottom. If you don't warp that image, it's not gonna work. So here you can see the top portion and the bottom portion next to each other. One is warped, one's a little bit bigger. I saved this as a PNG file, and I actually printed it with that other one because I made two at once and I wanted to fill up the paper. But you can use this conical warp feature on any tapered tumbler, and the process will be the exact same. Once you have your design done and printed, you're going to add the paper to your tumbler. So mostly you can do rough cuts, but when it comes to the bottom portion, you do want to cut along that taper that we just created so it's easier to wrap around your cup. But what you need to do is get your seam. I like to match my seam where the handle is going to be and trim away any paper that's not necessary just so I can see, what it's going to look like when it's printed. But you're going to take your heat tape, pull it as tight as you can, and tape it into place. You're going to do that for both the bottom portion, and then you're going to move on to the top. The thing about the top is the seam is going to go where the handle's going to go, but I just kind of press in the paper to make a mark for where that metal piece is, where the handle's going to go, and I'm going to cut out a little notch so it can lay flat. It doesn't have to be perfect. The handle is thick, so the actual, right by that little metal piece isn't going to show, but you do need to make sure that your paper can lay flat. So I cut out these little notches, and then I wrap my paper around your tumbler. Something to keep in mind is that there is a little, 1/4 of an inch of metal along the top. So remember that isn't going to be sublimated on. It only sublimates on the white portion. But once you get it set to where you want it to be and straight, take your heat tape, pull the paper as tight as you can, and tape it into place. Now, unfortunately with these, you can't use your heat press, or I can't use mine, even though it's my favorite thing in the world and I really wish I could. I had to prep this for the oven. So in order to do that, I'm going to take some of a little bit thicker heat tape and try to get as much pressure as I can around this paper. Instead of, being able to pull it snug in your mug press or your tumbler press, you're going to need to create that pressure using tape. I'm using a combination of heat tape and blue painter's tape. I like using blue painter's tape. I think it works really well. You just have to make sure that the tape doesn't actually touch your tumbler because it will melt to it and it's a huge pain to get it off. So that's why I'm using a combo. So anywhere that blue tape would have touched my actual tumbler, I put heat tape there instead. But you can just use heat tape, figure out what works best for you. I just find this the most consistent way to do it. It's just what works best for me. So here my design is just on the top half, and here's what it looks like when you have your design on top and bottom.
The only downfall of these Stanley style tumblers is that they are thick, so I can't put them in my mug press, which is what I would prefer to use, but you do need to use a convection oven for these tumblers, so you want to make sure that you have one. Mine is actually almost too small, so if you don't have one or you have one, you just kind of have to make sure that it's big enough for this style tumbler.
But the hard part is over, and you're just going to bake it at about 360 degrees for about 7 minutes, and you're going to turn it over halfway through. I'm obsessed with this look. I absolutely love them. People are loving them. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.
If you want to learn more about getting started with sublimation and all of the equipment that you need, I'm going to put a tutorial on your screen that goes through all of the essential supplies to start sublimation.